First, I'll go over my opponent's case, then on to my own definition. She provides and thus concedes in my definitions. 1. The op starts by saying that my evidence in trans species is right, and that, quote, probably should be banned, end quote. The op then goes on by saying that the sector dealing with animal testing in order to help other animals is needed. However, according to the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, defines new drugs that require testing as, quote, any drug except for a new animal drug or an animal feed bearing or containing a new animal drug, the composition of which is such that such drug is not generally recognized, end quote. Thus, the form of animal testing that my opponent advocates for is not the required because it is not forced by our government. See my definition of testing that requires use of animals. And because of the wording of this resolution is not subject to a ban. Also, my opponent has clearly stated that trans species testing should be banned, so thus she affirms. 2. The opposition says that it's odd for me to have such a to be not as animal focused as I am. However, I am debating the resolution as it stands. The debate she's calling for would be changing the wording of the resolution, which is against the rules of debate, and I am not undermining animals' position by saving their lives. And 3. She says that humans have humans for testing, so why shouldn't animals have animals? I have 3 responses. 1. This is outside the scope of this debate. Please see my FDA evidence. 2. Since she uses, quote, logic here to allow me, animals cannot test on other animals because they cannot get research grants. And 3. The use of the in vitro method can be used to also replicate animal cells and animal blood. So this is a turn in her case because I, in this world, would also solve for what she is asking for. Animals could still use animals for testing. And on my case, 1. The opposition attacks my first contention by saying that animal testing is the least desirable scientific approach, but since it's being used means that it's super important. However, she doesn't have any evidence to support this, and the use of animal testing is actually on the decline. Dr. Carlson, 2004, states that the comparison of almost 3,000 research papers published over 30 years in major biomedical journals found a 30% fall in the number of studies using animals. The analysis showed a significant increase in the alternative testing methods, too. My opponent misinterprets my second contention. She says that the alternative methods I provide are not replacements, rather extensions of animal testing because you need the testing, because you need the cells from the animals for the testing, but this is not true. The Martin card at 155 in my speech is in vitro, not in vivo, meaning it uses human cells and blood to be tested on, not necessarily animal cells. And also, it's important to realize that if we did use animal cells, we'd also be helping for animals that are being tested in this field. Again, look to the turn. And she doesn't address the impact from the in vitro methods, which is that it's more accurate and the method is the more desirable one, the scientific approach. In 3, my opponent says that my third contention is, quote, at best irrelevant, at worst flows to me, end quote. How? She never explains. She failed to properly refute my contention, which proves that humans die because of animal testing, that we would not, and that we would also not have basic medication that would help end human suffering if we just had animal testing. Overall, because my opponent, 1, refuses to debate this resolution, 2, has no evidence to support her claims, 3, finds the loss of human life irrelevant, 4, she even agrees to the resolution, and 5, and in her world, thousands of people die, animals are exploited for bad results, which shows the scientific progress of this world, and 6. And finally, in the AF's world, people thrive, animals remain living happy and long lives. Please affirm. Thank you.